It's definitely a time to celebrate all of your hard work this semester, so thank you all. My name is Daniela, and I'm a junior psychology major with a minor in community action and social change. I'm also an EDJE fellow and the moderator for our symposium today. So just to share a little bit about myself, I've been involved in service learning since I was a freshman, and I've worked with Canal Alliance over the summer. I had a really awesome opportunity to do an internship supporting voter registration outreach, and I got to work really closely with a group called Voces de Canal that works very closely with Canal Alliance. And one of the things that I think stuck with me most this summer was just seeing how they create their sense of belonging, kind of fitting in with our theme, just seeing how they use their agency to gather and create this community organizing to bring change in their community. And I think what stuck with me the most as someone coming into the community and coming with this information about voter registration and outreach, because it's something that not everybody knows, just seeing how they actively develop trust and they build those relationships and they create a space where community members can come to them and ask questions and really just feel like they can have their voice be heard. And so for me, I think that was something that I really took away from them. I know I'm more of a quiet person and I tend to just like observe, but I've learned in my time that even just being present with them and listening to them and open to the idea that I'm learning so much and we're kind of like teaching each other. I think that's been the number one thing that has made me feel like I can come into the space and we get to work together and it really works kind of like a collaborative thing. And it's made me feel like I kind of have a little piece of myself there working with them. So I really enjoyed that time. And now I will go ahead and pass it on to our first speaker, who is Mady, and she will talk a little bit more about her experience with Bridge the Gap.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mady. I'm a junior 2 nursing student, and I was in the Ethics of the Margins class. So I had the opportunity to work alongside Bridge the Gap, which is an educational program that helps kids in Marin City, Sausalito area. Just a few things that we would do with the students. I worked alongside Mr. Kelly. He takes groups of kids, about like 5 to 10 at a time, and they'll help with like reading and writing skills because a lot of the students there have deficits when it comes to reading at the grade level they need to be. And then we had a change of plan. So we ended up going to a kindergarten class to help Miss Perez. Just a few things I would do with them was help them with reading and writing skills, guidance on their classwork, and just ensuring that some of the students stayed on task. At the beginning, I thought this would just be like a whole, like you would tutor the students, but that definitely changed. I thought it was more like a deficit mentality coming into Bridge the Gap, but working with them, that really changed for me. My mentality eventually transformed once I learned that in the lecture portion of class, we learned that the Latino and African American students scored lower in a lot of subject areas and compared to Asians or whites. So I was like, why is this data point keep continuing here in Marin City? So going into that, that's really what I stuck with. So eventually I developed a strength-based approach with the students. The theory required me to just determine what works best for each student. And then we learned about the cultural humility principle in class. So I used that, and I used the lifelong learning aspect of that. So I was open to different styles of learning, such as like they use a highlighter to like help them practice the word, to write the words. And like there was one experience where I would talk in Spanish and like count in Spanish with the students, and I do not speak Spanish whatsoever. So they kind of taught me something as well. So I was meeting students in the middle and just adapting to their strengths. And yeah, so I learned from the students that they learn best by using like visuals and repetition. And with that, we created a mutual learning style, and which benefited my students and myself and allowed me to be adaptable and more open to what worked for them. Just looking back at the semester, I learned that like feeling a sense of belonging, a person just become vulnerable and be willing to become a lifelong learner. Learning about the disparities that people of Marin City face required me to be committed to learning. I had to feel a sense of vulnerability to fully understand what my students were going through and how it held them back academically. So the mutual learning that we created required me to learn a new kind of vulnerability that I was not used to. So I used like community-based learning. So before taking the class, volunteering meant to me that you would just complete acts of service to a program to people that needed it the most. And working with Bridge the Gap changed that term for me because it is more than just helping out students in the community. It's ensuring that every one of our students receives the education they deserve. With the theme of belonging, I wanted to provide a fun-filled learning experience for my students, no matter their racial background or where they came from. Feeling a sense of belonging means accepting people for who they are and what they can bring to the table. My goal is to ensure that all my students felt accepted and didn't feel less than any other student in the class. All my students brought strengths that developed my way of tutoring them. Partnering with Bridge the Gap showed me that all students, no matter where they come from, can feel valued and accepted, which can improve their students' performance in the classroom. Coming from a soon-to-be senior at Dominican, I hope that everyone can become vulnerable when working with community partners and understand that service learning classes allows you to gain a new perspective on the term volunteering. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Mady. I will now pass it on to our next speaker, who is Isabel, and she will talk about working at the Ritter Center.
Hi, I'm Isabel, and a little bit about me. I'm a junior 1 nursing major, and I worked at the Ritter Center, and more specifically, I worked with the food pantry, and I mostly helped organize grocery bags and organize produce for all the recipients that came by. But Ritter Center is not only just a food pantry, they also have a free health clinic, and they also help people find work and affordable housing. And I really enjoyed my service learning class this semester, since last time I did it over Zoom with reading buddies. And working at the food pantry, I got to talk to a lot of the people that came by, and it really helped me break out of my shell, knowing that I'm a quiet person. And most of the people that came by the food pantry were people from the Canal, or most of the people that also came by were unsheltered. And I started realizing how much people relied on these charity works, like the Ritter Center's free health care clinic and the free food pantry, and like all these resources. It came to the point where I started like recognizing the same faces over and over every week I would work there. And like in my class, Ethics from the Margins, while I learned that yes, charity works do help people, but it is only a short-term solution, and that we needed to really advocate for a structural change. Like, we need people to have more affordable housing. Like, housing should be a right. And most of the people there I worked with at the Ritter Center, they're really sweet people. And there's like usually a lot of stigma around most of the unsheltered community, but that's usually just due to all the structural injustices. Like, why is healthcare like so expensive? Why is housing should be so expensive when everyone should just be able to not have to live paycheck to paycheck just to get by? And as a future nurse, I'm usually supposed to be the patient's advocate. And this class really helped me learn how to also advocate for people for a structural change. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Isabel. I will now pass it on to Daniela and more students who will talk about Canal Alliance, the adult education and the university prep program.
Hi, my name is Daniela Aguirre. I'm a psych major with a Spanish and clinical and counseling minor. This semester, I worked as a conversational partner with Canal Alliance. The service learning experience was very different than what I thought it would be, but I was able to grow a lot through it, make connections with the community, and understand the materials and ideas that I was learning in class a little more through it. As soon as I started working with my GT, I found the work came easily to me, and I was able to learn a lot about ethics from the margins through my service learning partner. Many of the issues we brought up in class were issues that the Canal community faced. And for the semester, we had a project and essay that focused on one issue the community faced. Mine was education, and my TT really helped me identify the issues they saw as a parent with their child going to a school in San Rafael and the hardships they had to face when it came to the child's education. And that meant a lot to me personally because she was letting me into her personal life and worries she had as a parent, which isn't something um, people let easily out. My ethics class ended the semester with the idea of solidarity dividend, which is when people from all different races come together to change unjust structures. And this is something I was able to learn a lot through my service learning partner, as well as my ethics class. This is an important concept I will consider for the rest of my life, and I hope we all consider because it's it can really affect the work we do in college and after college. I'm really thankful for my service learning experience because it allowed me to connect with the community and meet new people in the community. So, and it allowed me to see what kind of work I want to do in the future.
Thank you so much, Daniela. And now we will pass it on to Daina.
Hi, my name is Daina Rodriquez. I am a first year nursing student, and with my social learning, I did service learning. Sorry, I worked with Canal Alliance. So since I can remember, racism has lived in our world and in our life. I have been surrounded by racism and had to learn the proper way to navigate it. I am a 18-year-old, sorry, Latina living in the Bay Area, a place that is known for diversity. Yet even here, I have witnessed and experienced the negative stereotypes given to my people. Being put into a box, hearing racial lies, and having to be a female in the midst of it all is extremely draining and irritating. There is more to someone than what is on the outside, whether that is skin color or if they do their makeup or not. The opinions one has of people should not determine whether or not one likes them or is attracted to them. Everything is deeper than what one perceives it to be. Yet no matter how much we do to attempt change, racism is deep-rooted in our justice system and many other things. For instance, ours identifies a structural racism in our immigration system. From the very beginning, the United States used racial requirements as a way to welcome white people and exclude others. Through my work with Canal Alliance, I have witnessed firsthand the number of troubles, biases, hardships, immigration scares, COVID-19 issues, etc. Martina was my tutor for the semester, and what she showed me with action spoke louder than what anyone could put into words. She seemed to be the backbone of her family. She revealed to me the impact and social status and community marginalization can have. She lives in Canal, San Rafael, where 78% are Latinos, and there is very high density housing, including many multifamily homes. She lives in a multifamily home, which I noticed made it hard for her to learn. There was always constant yelling, running around, and just overall hecticness happening in her house. Although there were so many factors playing against her, she still managed to make it to her sessions, even if it was not on time. During the times it seemed that the whole world was falling apart around her, she continued to put a smile on her face and show up. It seemed her daughter was her main source of motivation. One day, as we were practicing, I asked her what her dream job was. She answered that she wants to be a nurse. I smiled because that is what I'm majoring in. This was the first time I reflected on my whole service learning experience. I stepped back and looked at the bigger picture, which reminded me so much of my mother in my own life. My mother also raised and did whatever she could to give me and my siblings a better life. She opened my eyes and reminded me how grateful I am for my way of living. Yet she is a constant example of what one can do when all the odds are against them. Martina every day shows that regardless of racism, sexism, social status, and unfortunate experience life shows us, one can overcome and thrive. Instead of dwelling on the negative, she has managed to let go of all of it and become better for herself and her daughter. We fail to see our actions affect the world around us. Dr. King mentioned how whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. Not only does what one does affect everyone, but the same goes for the positivity in our world. And being grateful for how far we have come and where we stand and is another way of many reasons to appreciate power and beauty of healing. As Dr. King said, we are all made to live together because of the interrelated structure of.
Thank you so much, Dana. Now I will pass it on to Karla Hernandez-Navarro, who is a community partner. She is from Canal Alliance in the Adult Education Program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Daniela, for the introduction. As she said, my name is Karla Hernandez-Navarro. I'm the Adult Education Supervisor at Canal Alliance, and I'm also a Dominican and a Community Action and Social Change graduate. A key instrument of our program and something that helped me create a connection with my community is embarking in a lifelong journey of cultural responsiveness and cultural humility. There's a difference between cultural competence and cultural responsiveness. Cultural competence typically is used in the workplace to describe the ability to interact with people from other cultures. Cultural responsiveness means that you're being responsive to what our diverse community is teaching you. This lifelong journey requires consistent curiosity, so restraining from making assumptions and instead really trying to hear and see people, learning about their identities and being humble to what they're teaching you, self-reflection and self-critique, being aware of your actions and reasoning behind them. So asking yourself, how did I react? Did my good intention create a negative impact? Was it my savior complex speaking? To cultivate an environment where people feel a sense of belonging, you really need to see and hear your community through the lens of cultural responsiveness and cultural humility. Daina and Daniella shared their experience of what it's like working with our students. They felt a sense of belonging, so they're planning to continue working with the adult earners who they tutored this semester. The reason why my adult earners have requested to continue working with them is because they feel seen and heard by them. For example, when the student didn't attend their tutoring session, Daina and Daniela didn't make assumptions or get upset of why the student didn't show up. Instead, on their gift club reflections, they asked themselves what could have prevented the students from attending their session. They understood that learning English was a basic necessity and that often if the student missed a session, it was because something was preventing them from attending rather than them making a choice not to attend. They also took the time to hear the students' stories, frustrations, needs, and goals. Then they used that information to create personalized and practical activities that made the lessons engaging and helped the students get closer to their goal of getting a better job, communicating with the teachers, with their kids' teachers, being able to interact with their community. The goals that Daina and Daniela initially thought belonged solely to the adult learner have now become part of their goals as well. That's why they want to continue on this lifelong learning journey with them. I've always said that education gives you power, and with power comes great responsibility. Through the service learning program, the students are being taught tools to create a meaningful impact in their community. Beyond Dominican, I hope these service learner students continue sharing their knowledge of cultural responsiveness and humility with others so that they can feel inspired to learn, see, and hear. On our end, learning English empowers our students to advocate for resources, get better opportunities, become US citizens, and inspire others to join us in this journey. For me, this education helps me to continue opening my eyes and ears so that I can truly see you and our community and hopefully continue bridging and creating a sense of belonging between Dominican and our students. Thank you to all the ESL aides, tutors, and conversation partners for joining us in this lifelong journey and for serving the adult learners at Canal Alliance. We look forward to working with you next trimester.
Thank you so much, Karla. I will now pass it on to Wendy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Escobar. I'm a freshman at Dominican University of California, and my major is biological sciences. And my service learning class is effective communications with Ms. Jocelyn Gomez. I grew up here in San Rafael, California all my life, but I particularly grew up in the Canal area. Both of my parents are originally from Guatemala and immigrated to the United States for a better life. And I am the oldest of three with a younger sister and a brother, both in high school. For my service learning part of class, we were required to choose a program or organization. I saw the Canal Alliance website and I felt connected and attracted to it. So I chose the Canal Alliance University Prep program specifically with the middle school students. I help the middle school students with any homework and to study in whatever they need help in every Wednesday for 2 hours and whatever I could provide them as well. Canal Alliance provides tutoring, homework help, college university preparation, and Canal Alliance also provides resources to the students' families and community. Some resources include counseling, food banks, free COVID testing, and legal support, etc. A reason why I chose the Canal Alliance University Prep program was because I actually went there for 6th and 12th grade, so I have a special, connection in two different perspectives now. And I will go each week depending on my personal schedule, and as well as, but I usually go for 3 days a week. And so when I was a student there, Dominican students would come to their service learning, and I was assigned a student along with a group of peers in my grade. And if I'm being completely honest, sometimes I didn't really want to work with them. I just wanted to be left alone. But now it kind of bites back because I'm in the position of that. And sometimes students don't want to work and ask for help, but I completely understand that because everybody has different choices and different things they want to do, and we can't force nobody to do things, but which are both fine. But there are some students who ask for help in their homework, and I'm more than willing to help out even if I struggle a bit. An example is a student asked for help on their math homework about ratios. I didn't really remember about this topic, so instead we looked at her notes and the textbook, but these resources did not help us understand the material more. It was really kind of knew it, but then we looked on YouTube and we found a video that can explain furthermore, and we actually, it helped very much. And afterwards we went through her homework and she got all the problems right. So that was very like proud to see and very helpful for myself and her improvement as well. And so far the service learning site has definitely taught me how to be more patient with students and be more resourceful with anything I have in my hands and not to take anything for granted. And I do get sometimes it's nerve-wracking that they ask for help, but at the end of the day, I feel like we all benefit from each other, either by learning from based off each other or by resources like textbooks and YouTube and notebook. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I will now pass it on to Izzy, who is an EDGE fellow.
Hi, everybody. My name's Isabel Pisano. I'm a fourth year occupational therapy major with a double minor in psychology and community action and social change, and I'm also an EDGE fellow. I've been working with Next Generation Scholars for many semesters now. I started the first semester of my sophomore year. And this semester I took on a new role of working directly with the new Dominican service learners who were volunteering at NGS. It was another great semester. And it was also a very interesting experience for me because it was my first time kind of working on managing my own little pod of students. And I'll just say it really allowed me to see how complex all these relationships can be. And I mean, as we all know, this work is not always easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedicated people for this whole program to come together. So as a forefront, I would just like to thank everyone, students, faculty, community partners, everybody who's here today, for your participation in this program, one way or another. What we already know is that this work is not easy and it's not linear. But at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason, to make change in our community somehow. And, you know, that often means finding the meaning in the everyday interactions. Every conversation you have, every connection is meaningful. And every little piece of work that each and every one of you do is extremely impactful. So I just want to thank you all for that once again.
Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for all of those great comments that you sent in. I will now pass it on to the Dance Art Community Project, and we will have Ella, Pakela, Brooke, and Louisa presenting.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ella, and I'm a junior dance major and CASC minor. This semester in CASC 3400, I worked with Andrea as a part of her newly implemented dance arts project. It's a project focused on bringing dance and somatic movement to underserved communities. And it was run at the Alboro Center located in the Canal neighborhood. We spent the last 4 months assisting Andrea each Friday in teaching 2 dance classes where we practice concepts like rhythm games, warm-ups, specific techniques, counting music, and more to build on bigger concepts of bodily awareness, a sense of community, and movement retention. And this semester enriched my knowledge in so many ways, but to keep it brief, I learned a lot about patience in meeting the children where they're at. I quickly realized that coming in with my own agenda was not always going to work, so I tried to tap into a mode of active listening. And one specific day in particular, Andrea was sick and we had the challenge of running the class on our own. So after about 20 minutes of a lot of chaos and frustration, I realized that the stress was mutual and that me trying to place my demands on the children wasn't going to work. They're all coming into the class with their own desire personalities. And right then, what I was asking for wasn't working for myself or any of them. So we quickly changed our direction for the class and made our way through it more intuitively, listening to what the kids were enjoying and receiving well. I also learned the importance of physical touch for a lot of these kids and realized how necessary it was to squeeze them and hug them when they needed it as a sensory relaxer and as a form of comfort. Belonging can span as wide as feeling a part of an entire culture and or community, and can be as simple as developing a feeling of presence and belonging between two people when sharing an embrace. So this experience taught me how beautifully open children were in welcoming us into their space and making us feel loved and a part of their group. And it's really the kids that fostered an environment of inclusivity. And I learned from their actions how to help build a space of community and togetherness.
We started this semester. Oh, I'm Brooke. I'm also a junior dance major in the CASC 3400 class. We started this semester working with the students from Alborough Community Center in the Canal. Later in the semester, we began working with the students from Performing Stars, which is a nonprofit organization in Marin City, started by Felicia Gaston to bring visual and performing arts to the students of the community. The students were bused over to Alborough and we began teaching the two communities back to back. The two classes consisted of students of different ages, as well as from different racial and ethnic backgrounds. So it was interesting to observe the differences in the students' attention, interpersonal relationships, and responses to authority figures. One particular aspect of teaching the Performing Stars students that stood out to me was how much they loved hugs, as Ella touched on a little bit. The students spent so much time hugging us, the service learners, and each other that it started to interfere with our class time. This behavior led our teacher, Andrea, to clarify when the appropriate times for hugging were, such as after class. For me, it was not only beautiful to see the relationship they had with each other, but the ways they were able to accept us into their space and community. I think that my work with Dance Arts Community Project has helped me gain a better understanding of my role as a service learner and a student at Dominican. After this semester, I feel like I have a deeper understanding of both communities.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luisa, and I'm a freshman dance major. After some reflection, I can say that I have witnessed so much growth in each of the children in our dance classes at Dance Arts. They have developed better focus, retention of material, and have advanced their capabilities as dancers. After talking with some of the parents, I have learned about the reasons why parents are glad for their children to be dancing. After asking an anonymous parent why they decided to enroll their children in dance classes, they told me, quote, "It keeps my children active and off their screens. It gives them an opportunity to interact with children and most importantly, get exercise," unquote. Dance not only allows these children, or it doesn't just give them something to do, but it also allows them to express themselves artistically, make meaningful connections, and come together as a community. After many requests for dance classes in more styles, we will be adding on new classes next semester. I am grateful that the kids made us feel so loved and a part of the community. This experience was even more enriching because I've been able to apply concepts I learned from my philosophy class, from Ethics from the Margins. Through active listening and perspective taking, I have learned more about the injustices the Canal community faces. Thank you.
Now I have a little clip that I want to share, including Pakela, one of our classmates that couldn't make it on the Zoom, Andrea, our community partner and teacher, and a little clip of the students dancing.
One takeaway that I have held on to after working with Dance Arts and the kids at Alborough and Performing Stars is the power of community and what working together is able to achieve. Dancing with the kids at Alborough and the kids from Performing Stars helped me understand the context of what my position means to these children and the responsibilities I have of making sure they're enjoying their time with us and learning from us as much as possible. I wouldn't have been able to do that without the guidance of Andrea, as well as my peers Ella, Brooke, and Luisa. Working with them and working with the kids put into perspective the significance of creative expression and the gravity of what being a teacher and mentor means for the future generation. This experience of dancing with the kids at Alborough and Performing Stars has given me a new perspective of how dance relates to my life and has solidified my desire to pursue a career in dance as an educator. My time at Dominican at the Lines BFA has strengthened my dance technique, but has also helped me in the work that I do with Dance Arts Community Project. Being in the community to share dance, especially with those who don't have the accessibility to a dance education, has shown me the importance of creative expression and the arts within underserved communities. Working alongside my peers to share dance with the Alboro and Performing Stars kids has helped me cultivate a community outside of Dominican and has given me a glimpse into how the arts are able to positively impact the lives of children.
Hi, my name is Andrea Sacolario, and I'm one of the co-owners of Dance Arts Ballroom and Fitness, and also one of the co-founders of Dance Arts Community Project. Dance Arts Community Project is kind of a passion dream project that me and my partner Joanne Schaefer here at Dance Arts Ballroom have dreamt about doing for many years, and we finally brought it to life this past year, and it aims to provide access to ballroom dance, ballet classes for historically underserved communities within Marin County. It has felt extremely important in my teaching to make sure that I branch out and to all communities within Marin County, not just the communities that traditionally can afford and attend our classes. So here I am 25 years into my teaching career, finally bringing this to fruition and working within the community in the Canal and also with Performing Stars in Marin and Marin City. My experience within both of these communities has been incredibly positive. They welcomed us with open arms, really engaged, and jumped right into the classes with enthusiasm. And I've instantly seen tremendous growth with the kids. I mean, it's unbelievable from week to week. You know, children need movement and they need to move to music, and it's an essential part of the human experience. Having the service learners to partner with is amazing because the energy, the positivity, the passion and compassion and drive to work with these communities that all of the students showed, and also just their creativity in dance that they brought to the classes, so that the kids got, you know, different things than they would get if they just had me. So overall, it's been an absolutely amazing experience working with everybody.
Ese chino está como un video.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful video. I think we all enjoyed watching those kids. It was very cute. I will now pass it on to Yendi and Nazan, who will talk about their experience working at RhodaCare.
Hi everyone, my name is Yendi Calderon, and I am a public health major with minors in Spanish and CASC. And I've been at RhodaCare since my freshman year of college. At RhodaCare is a nonprofit clinic that is dedicated to providing free primary quality healthcare services to uninsured families and individuals with limited ability to pay for medical care. And this clinic treats adults with minor illnesses or injuries. Patients that come into this clinic are primarily Latinx patients that speak Spanish as their native language. My role at RhodaCare is scribing for doctors and interpreting for our Spanish-speaking patients. I've also helped out in discharge where we give patient instructions about their medication or where to go for a lab test. Now we'll pass it on to Asan.
Hi, I'm Azan. I'm a sophomore, and this is my first year actually at Rodicare. My role at Rodicare was scribing interactions between the doctor and patient. And one key concept that I really connected to from CASC 3400 was assimilation. Assimilation is defined as a process where individuals or groups of differing ethnic heritage are absorbed into the dominant culture of society. Although the United States is constructed by various cultures and contains a lot of diversity, many individuals are still forced to learn the ways of the dominant culture present in our society. California has a vast population of Latinx individuals, but it seems like their sense of belonging is always tested. Although services like Rodicare exist, many services and programs are still centered around the idea of a dominant culture. In California, there are thousands of uninsured individuals who still struggle with healthcare problems that may go unchecked. Rodicare does a great job in serving these individuals, but they can sometimes be overlooked as a service because of the barrier of language. For example, when I was at the food bank, I was handing out Rodicare flyers for patients to kind of get an idea that Rodicare exists in Marin County. And I was talking to one person, and she was telling me that although she's been here for like 15 years, she has a lot of healthcare problems, but she has to struggle finding clinics because she isn't that good with speaking English. So she was glad that this flyer was in Spanish, and she actually enjoyed the fact that the service exists. So yeah, I just think that assimilation is still a struggle, and even though there are services, we should try to work together and bring in conclusivity.
Yeah, another topic discussed in CASC 3400 was culture imperialism, which is the opposition of one dominant community of various aspects of its own culture onto another non-dominant community. And at the Rodicare Clinic, we can take the example that providers are also known as the doctors are the dominant identity in this case, and patients a subordinate identity. In one of our assigned readings for this course, The Complexity of Identity by Beverly Tatum, Tatum defines the dominant identity as identity that holds the power and authority, while the subordinate identity determines how that power and authority may be acceptably used. And having primary Latinx patients at the clinic is very important for providers to understand their patients and being aware of their own cultural beliefs and values and how these may be different from other cultures. As a Latina woman coming into the clinic, I feel very connected to the patients as they represent my community, and having the ability to have conversations with both the providers and patients about their cultural remedies is very meaningful to me. I am thankful with Stephanie, our clinic coordinator, and the entire Rodicare team for allowing me and Hassan to be part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now continuing with our theme of building belonging, I will pass it on to Denise, who is an EDGE fellow, and she will share more about her experience.
Hello guys, my name's Denise. I'm a junior 1 nursing student with a minor in graphic design. This semester I did my service learning at my clinical sites, and I'll be specifically referring to my psychiatric clinical rotation that I did at San Francisco General Hospital this semester. I feel like my perception of the healthcare system and the community that we're caring for and serving has changed drastically this semester, mainly in relation to how the patients are talked about on the psych unit. I found that there's a lack of awareness and compassion for the patients, that mental health stigma is still very much present in healthcare. In any position of care, either in a hospital setting or elsewhere, such as the Ritter Center or at Canal Alliance, we, the people who serve, are there to lend a helping hand, not to criticize or dehumanize them for seeking help. As someone who struggles with their own mental health issues, it's important for me that more people have this awareness, and I do hope that as you go into any community setting in the future, that you carry yourself with the non-judgment and respect necessary to do the job.
Thank you so much, Denise. We will now move on to the Multicultural Center of Marin, and our first presenter will be Daisy.
Hello, my name is Daisy. I am a biological science major in first year here at Dominican University. My service learning class was the Ethics, Citizenship, and Immigration class with Professor Lucia Leon. A little bit about my experience working with the Multicultural Food Distribution Center is what we would do on a weekly basis is arrive at the center at 6:30 in the morning, unpack, organize, and distribute food to the community members of the Canal. An experience that I had while working at the Multicultural Center was actually that was very memorable was I had the opportunity to talk with one of the community members. It was an older woman in her mid-70s. She asked me a bunch of questions about our services that week, and then she proceeded to apologize for asking so many questions. I was a bit taken back when she kept apologizing, and she proceeded to tell me about her experience with COVID-19 and all of the things that she had gone through. How she told me that she was hospitalized for a very long time. She was hooked up to oxygen for about a year, and because of the COVID-19, she had issues remembering things. And this experience stuck to me because despite everything, she had such a beautiful outlook on life. She told me how friendly she was with the neighboring employees and store employees, with her neighbors, how everyone looks out for her, and how grateful she is for our services. For what the Multicultural Center does, since she can't work anymore, and how she comes to the center, how coming to the center is something that she does weekly. And in this particular experience, the Multicultural Center builds its own community, not only between the service learning students, the volunteers, and the workers, but with the Canal residents as well. We don't know what anybody is going through, but having access to the Multicultural Center ensures access to food for anyone, regardless of their what they're going through in their personal life. This organization has become a center and a place where many people rely to. And as a service learning student and as a Canal resident myself, I see the firsthand struggles my community members and my neighbors face, and the impact organizations like the Multicultural Food Distribution Center has in my neighborhood. And I'm thankful for the opportunity I was given to work with the organization and the impact the center has on everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daisy. We will now hear from our community partner at the Multicultural Center of Marin with the food distribution, and that is Adrian.
Hello, everyone. Adrian Aragon here with the Multicultural Center Marin. I am the food distribution coordinator. I do want to start off by saying thank you, Daisy, for all your amazing work you did with us at the food pantry. This work cannot be done by itself. And I always tell this to everybody that either comes to do community service hours or comes in through the Dominican program, or even the youth that we mentor through the services that we provide. But we are there for the community on a Saturday morning, 6:30, which is something that we always try to remind ourselves that we're here for the community and we do the very best we can to serve their needs. As Daisy had mentioned, there is a lot of needs in the community. Even though there is a lot of food distributions throughout the week, we've noticed that the food that we receive from the San Francisco Marine Food Bank, it can only last in families' fridges about 2 to 3 days. It all depends how much they get, how much they can receive on a particular food pantry. Now, that's why we continue to bring food on Saturdays. We have approximately about 250 to 300 families that show up, and we have a walk-in line and also a drive-through, which has been we've seen numbers where, we can have up to 400 families and still having more families come. I remember asking one of our community members, what brings you to our food pantry? And the person always shares her story that it's not because she can't afford the food, it's just the experiences she's having with the expenses. Things are getting more with higher cost. So it's a family of 6, and sometimes she doesn't have enough money to bring to the family and buy food or other expenses that she has to meet. So I do see the need in the community, and we do our very best to collaborate with all the organizations in Marine, such as Canal Alliance, and also the Ritter Center. We've been very pleased in having many community leaders show up to our food pantry to do outreach. We bring the requests of the families. So sometimes it could be, hey, I'm in need of clothing. We'll collect sweaters, t-shirts, whatever we can gather and distribute on Saturdays. So that's just a little bit of what we do with the Multicultural Center. And thank you for all the Dominican students for your wonderful work that you do in the community.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I will now pass it on to Professor Lucia Leon, who is the faculty advisor for the LALS minor, and she will share more about her class's work with Voces de Canal.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Leon. I'm a professor in the social justice major in the Latin American and Latino studies minor. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about the minor itself and beginning to tell you a little bit about Voces de Canal before students take over and tell you a little bit about their experience this semester. So our minor focuses on really deepening our understanding about diverse Latino groups in the United States, their histories, their migration patterns, their cultural traditions, and their overall well-being. And so this is mainly done through 2 service learning core courses, an additional Latin American history course, and an elective. And so through these classes, we examine how Latinos, both those that are born in the United States and those immigrant groups that have arrived, how they navigate everyday life in the United States as racialized people, but also as folks with intersectional experiences. And so we look at the social structures and inequalities, and also how communities organize for social change. Now, if you are a bilingual speaker or grew up speaking Spanish at home in your community, this is a great asset, as the minor often brings us into service learning opportunities with Spanish-speaking community. This semester, for example, our Latino Studies class began working with Voces de Canal. As you heard before, it's a community group led by strong líderes, strong mujeres, women who are really dedicated to bettering the health and safety and well-being of Canal members, of the Canal residents. And we also work with Canal Alliance staff who facilitate that partnership. Now, as a class, you'll hear from students that we've attended their general meetings where we see their planning and implementing of strategies, and also participate in certain activities like soccer games, art classes, community cleanups throughout the week and in the weekends. And so being in community means that we also saw the emergence of different issues like insecure housing and police relationships that became pressing needs for the community. And so as a professor, being able to join my students in community spaces has allowed me to be a better co-teacher and co-learner. So in these spaces, as students, professors, and community leaders together, we are co-collaborators in strengthening our knowledge base and our action. And so while in the classroom, we're learning tools, theories, concepts that are helping us contextualize community experiences, we're helping ourselves in grounding and understanding of what resistance looks like, what organizing looks like. And then in community, we're centering community knowledge and seeing how the different issues community is organizing around, and the leadership of the leaders really is the role in identifying and addressing the most pressing issues of that community. And so for us, bridging that studies from the classroom into community spaces really strengthens our own consciousness. We have here an opportunity to take ownership of our learning and to take action. So in this way, we're mirroring our learning in Bell Hook's call for education to be a liberatory space, right? That we can each enact our learning as a practice of freedom, not only for ourselves, but also our community members. And so this means that we're moved from being passive learners to active agents for social change. This means we are accountable and we are in solidarity with each other for our collective learning. And importantly for this minor, this cohort model, right, where students are learning together, this means that we're showing up for community. We're committed to being present as a collective. And potentially over 2 semesters, like in the case of Voces de Canal, we'll be joining them again in the spring. And this continuity is so critical for our own learning to see how community shifts, right? How they organize, how their tactics and practices may change over time, depending on the needs of the community. So our students today are going to share with you their experiences with Voces de Canal. But before I pass on the baton, I hope you'll check us out. You can also contact me if you have any questions or are interested in the minor. I'll drop the information in the chat now, but thank you and congratulations on another successful service learning semester.
Thank you so much. And now we'll pass it on to the students. So our first presenter is Dejah.
Hi, my name is Dejah. I'm a nursing major. Throughout the semester, we did weekly meetings with members of the Voces del Canal to facilitate soccer games, soccer practices, and then these are some photos of children that we worked with during the Thanksgiving art class. And working with Voces del Canal is a practice of freedom because it allows Canal community members to exercise and learn tools that they may not have been able to otherwise. For example, giving children the opportunity to express their artistic creativity freely. Working with Voces del Canal builds community and a sense of belonging in a way that volunteers and recipients of Voces del Canal experiences can have regular involvement in community events such as soccer and art. These events allow community members to build lasting relationships with each other and strengthen feelings of connectedness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now pass it on to Isa.
So I'm going to be focusing more on the soccer, the Canal Football Club, which I think is new within the last year. So this semester, I worked at the Canal FC games on Saturdays at Pickleweed Park in the Canal. For most of the games, I was working with the smaller kids. So actually this group that you see on the screen was the ones I would work with generally every Saturday, and their ages 9 to 12. Sometimes a coach wouldn't show up, so I would fill in. It was fun to coach these kids because they were genuinely super good at soccer. So it was entertaining to watch. And then they're always on my case about wrong calls or that's a corner kick. So come on. Get your act together. I enjoyed seeing these young athletes and how excited they were to play a sport they love alongside their friends and their neighbors. Even though most of the games were not official and were more of a scrimmage, they still took it very seriously and were pulling off some World Cup looking trick shots. It was pretty cool. Voces del Canal identified a need for more affordable soccer leagues in Marin. They knew the importance of physical activity, especially for young children. By creating Canal FC, Voces del Canal is effectively creating the freedom for youth and their families to recreate in a safe and supportive environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isa. We will now pass it on to Liliana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liliana. I'm a global public health major. And an experience that was very meaningful to me during our service learning with Voces del Canal was being a part of the art class, being able to see the excitement of the kids as they created their art projects, but also being able to see how wonderful it was to have the adults join us as well and participate, and how proud they were as their children were participating and creating their activity. Working with Voces del Canal is a practice of building community and belonging because they create a space such as the art classes and in many other areas that allow for people to be able to come together and have that sense of community and belonging. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now pass it on to Saul.
Hello, everyone. My name is Saul. I'm a current junior at Dominican. I have majors in social justice and history with a minor in Latin American studies. Today, I'm going to be talking about my experience with my service learning opportunity this semester. So like Isa, I was mostly involved with the organization's club soccer project, which has been the culmination of 5 years of hard work between the city of San Rafael, Marin FC, and Canal Alliance in order to make that dream a reality, to have a competitive club in the Canal community. And one of the things that I really focused on was how incredible it was to see social barriers that prevent kids from being involved in extracurricular activities such as competitive sports. For example, I'm a former club soccer player. One of the hardest things that I had to worry about was if we were going to be able to pay for the season's expenses, or who's going to take me to this game, who's going to take me to that practice. So being a part of seeing those barriers get lifted for those kids has been incredible to see. And I've also enjoyed being present in the community enough to where I'm becoming familiar with everyone, and the kids are at the point where they can have that playful conversation and joke around with me. I feel like it's very important to have those young role models in your life, especially those of similar background. I know that when I was younger, I really wish I had more guidance in my life that was representative of me, of my culture, of my experiences. And I believe that having that broader support system increases our ability to form trusting relationships and builds our capacity to interact positively with others in the world around us. And this is indicative of the long-term goals that Voces del Canal has for their efforts. Their vision statement hopes to change the Canal into a safer, healthier community for everyone. In various local-led projects, such as the art classes or the club soccer program, this helps create unity in people's day-to-day lives. Getting those kids out of the apartment and onto the soccer field with positive role models to enjoy the game and learn about things such as teamwork and collaboration is super impactful. Having something as mundane as a soccer game brings together families and creates a sense of belonging for residents of Canal, ultimately strengthening their community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saul. And we will now pass it on to Sienna.
I'm sorry, we can't hear Sienna, but these are just a couple of pictures from her community cleanup and the art class, among many of the events that Sienna was present at, helping with, again, like Saul said, the mission statement of the community to improve the health and safety of the Canal neighborhood.
Thank you everyone for presenting. We really appreciate you all being here and sharing this space with us. And thank you for everyone who shared all of their wonderful experiences with service learning this semester. I hope this left you feeling inspired, and I hope you all can reflect about the great experiences that you've had with service learning. This is the end of our symposium, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to let us know or drop them in the chat. If not, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it.